My core and pelvic floor rehab work is heavily influenced by a technique that derives out of Spain called hypervasive fitness or low pressure fitness. In simple terms, hypervasive fitness is using breath in order to decrease pressure within the body, and that in turn will help decrease pressure in the abdominal cavity area. They're extremely effective because they reflexively activate the very deepest core muscles through spinal position and through breath. And low pressure fitness is where something is not very hard on the body, and they are not. They do take a lot of control and you do have to practice them a lot, but they can be done anywhere at any time. All you need is yourself. They reduce pressure in the thoracic, the pelvic and the abdominal cavities of the body, which is the complete opposite of many of the daily activities that our body goes through. And in terms of core work, typical core training never accesses the very, very deep core muscles that hypervasive breathing and fitness does. So there are so many other benefits to hypervasive breathing, other than the main one, which is helping to heal pelvic floor dysfunction and its symptoms. But they also have countless benefits for the body, from athletic performance, decreases back pain, helps with menstrual cramps, infertility. They literally lift and elevate all of the organs within the abdomen cavity, and doing so gives the pelvic floor a rest, a chance to heal. And it also massages all of those organs and helps to detoxify them. It's really good for helping with healing prolapse, pelvic floor dysfunction, like I said, and back pain. And it does this by decreasing the pressure in the thoracic area, and that is really, really good, and decompressing the spine for back pain. So some tips when you are doing these, or you're starting to bring them into your practice, which you will be doing with me if you are rehabbing postpartum with me, is they take time and they take a lot of practice, and that's okay. It's a new technique and it's a new skill. We're going to practice in front of the mirror a lot, get to know our body and how it breathes, and really focus on watching where the breaths are coming in and out. There is so much more involved with hypervasives, or another word that they're often known as is vacuuming, than just vacuuming in that cavity. That's such a small part of it. The most important part is your breathing and your posture, and I'm going to break those down for you now in a minute and give you tips on the posture and the breathing that you're going to do throughout the flow that I'm also going to teach you. Another tip is don't do them straight after eating food, because you do need to have the ability to suck in that area, and if your tummy is full of food, it's not going to feel very good. And also don't do them before bedtime. In terms of postpartum, it's advised to wait until 6 weeks. That's if there is no other circumstantial stuff surrounding the pregnancy or your recovery. And if you are C-section, I would wait until 3 months before you start to bring them in. There are other things you can do though with C-section, which is explained in other areas of the program. With everything, I cannot stress how important it is to go and see a pelvic floor therapist before starting any kind of program in terms of healing, so that you know what's going on and you have the information there, and information is power. So in the next part of this tutorial, I'm going to explain how to do the breathing and the sequence of the breathing, and you're going to do that throughout the entire flow. Then we're going to go through the posture, alignment, and you're going to do that throughout the flow. And then I'm going to teach you a lovely 10-minute flow that you can break down and either do little parts of it or do the entire 10-minute flow anywhere, anytime, as part of your rehab program. Okay, so now we're going to go through the posture alignment and pattern for the flow that I'm going to show you. You're going to maintain this posture throughout all of the different movements in the flow. So first things first is feet are going to be hip distance apart. I want you to have a nice flexion of the knee. That means a nice bend in the knee. Okay. So I want you to have a look down and basically want you to have your kneecap over your second toe. And I'll show you that from the side. Okay. So hip distance apart, flexion in the knees, kneecap is going to be over your second toe. Okay, working it up from this position, we're going to bring it up. So we want to create a nice long torso so that the pressure can lift those organs up, okay? So what I'm going to do is lift the ribs away from the pelvis. So you want those to move as far away as possible without sucking in your stomach. So you're just lifting up the rib cage. Next thing, you want to widen the rib cage. You want to have that out as wide as possible so you get that nice little dip or cavity in the ribs. To do that, a good tip is to flare out or widen those shoulder blades, okay? The next thing we're going to do then is we want to have a really long, elongated spine because that's what helps to decompress the spine. So a good tip is to imagine somebody is pushing down on the crown of your head. So this is imaginary, but imagine somebody is pushing down and you're pushing away from them, okay? We like to call this growing. So we're growing up towards the ceiling. At the same time, you're pushing your heels into the floor. So you're like pulling and elongating out that spine, okay? So again, feet hip distance apart, knees nice and soft. You're going to really lengthen out and create that really nice long space between your pelvis and your ribs. You're going to bring out those ribs nice and wide, and you're going to grow. Okay? So we're going to do that through all the movements of the flow that I'm going to show you. And now we're going to go into our breathing technique. Okay, so now we're going to go through the breath pattern. You're going to maintain this breath throughout the whole flow. As we inhale, we're going to go through your nose and into the lower ribs first. And then as you exhale through the mouth, I want you to make a ha sound as if you're fogging a mirror. So as we inhale, I want you to imagine you're filling a glass of water. So you're going to inhale to the lower ribs, the middle ribs, up into the upper ribs. As you exhale, we're going to go the way down. So top, middle to bottom. As you continue to inhale, make sure that you're inhaling into your ribs only. And we're elongating the spine and growing to the top of your crown of your head on each exhale. So again, we're making sure there is no belly breathing here. So you can see from the side, as I inhale into the ribs only, not into my belly. So there's no movement in my belly. As you exhale, again, you should see a little bit more movement where the belly kind of sucks in a little bit. But again, it is maintained through my ribs. So apnea is an empty lung breath hold, and this creates a vacuum in the abdominal muscle. This is where we get a ton of spinal decompression and pelvic organ elevation. So we're going to inhale like I did before, ribs open nice and wide, and then we're going to exhale out through the mouth, elongating through the crown of the head. And once lungs are completely empty, I'm going to close mouth, nose and throat, hold my breath, and then try and open the rib cage again. So you see there's a nice hollowing of the belly up to the ribs, and you'll also see these little holes pop out in the neck. That's creating a true vacuum. Now, let's see this from a side. So here is a side view of apnea. Inhale through the nose, keep ribs really wide, keep them wide as you exhale through the mouth, elongate through the spine. Once lungs are completely empty, we're going to close mouth, nose and throat, hold breath, and then try and open the ribs again. So you can see a nice hollowing of the belly and maintain neutral spine position. Here's the flow. Starting in standing position, feet hip distance apart, knees slightly bent, nice long waist and open rib cage. Hands are straight down at the sides. Start with first inhale through the nose, expanding ribs wide. Exhale out of the mouth, elongate the spine on the exhale. On the second breath, inhale, open ribs, exhale. This will bring you to apnea. Lengthening through the crown of the head on exhale, and then come to apnea. In apnea, you're just reaching the fingertips straight down as you grow through the crown of your head. Next breath of the next cycle, we're going to exhale through the crown of our head. And on the second breath, we're going to inhale, stay here. As you exhale, point the fingertips in towards each other and come to apnea again. In this apnea, elevate arms to chest height. Arms stay there on inhale. As you exhale, we're going to slowly bring the arms down as you grow through the crown of your head. Second breath, inhale, open your ribs. Exhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Return to apnea. In this apnea, we're going to bring our arms all the way up over the head. Bend the elbows a little, wider hands a little more. Stay with your arms over your head for your inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to bring the arms back down to starting position at your hips. Inhale, open ribs. Exhale, stay here, lengthen through the crown of the head. Next breath, we're going to go into a lunge position. We're going to inhale, ribs nice and wide. Exhale, and then we're going to step forward into what we call a 90-90 lunge position. We're going to inhale again, open the ribs, exhale, come down to apnea. In apnea, we're going to press down with the right hand into the right thigh, and we're going to lift the left hand up overhead. We're going to stay for our inhale. As we exhale, we're going to bring the hand back down and return to apnea once more. This time in apnea, we're going to lift the arm again. As you inhale and as you exhale, we're going to bring the arm back down. We're going to stay here for another inhale. As you exhale, we're going to come forward into the hinge position, hands on your thighs. We're going to inhale, open ribs, and press hands down into the thighs. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale and come to apnea. This is great for spinal decompression and back pain. Stay for the inhale. As you exhale, we're going to reverse lunge back with the opposite leg. We're going to inhale, open ribs, and come to apnea again. In apnea, press down with the left hand, and we're going to raise our right arm overhead. We're going to stay here for an inhale, and as you exhale, we're going to bring that hand back down to starting position. One more breath, open ribs, on inhale, and on exhale, we're going to really lengthen through the crown of the head. Press down the left hand into the thigh and come to apnea again. Bring arm all the way overhead, and then inhale, and on your exhale, bring back down to starting position. One more inhale here in the lunge, and as we exhale, come to the hinge position. and one more in the hinge position. As we inhale, we're going to come to apnea, really opening the ribs and growing through the crown of your head. We're going to use our hands and our legs for spinal elongation. So really push against those thighs. Stay for exhale. Take one more breath here. Exhale, come to apnea again. And in this apnea, we're going to tuck in your chin. Rest of spine stays neutral. Inhale, open rib cage. Exhale into apnea. In this apnea, we're going to round the upper back and go and keep the lower back neutral. One more breath here. And return to apnea. In this apnea, we're going to round the lower spine. So now the whole spine is rounded. This is excellent for lifting up the uterus. We're going to stay here for an inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to bend the knees and put hands on the floor with fingertips pointing in. One more breath here. And as we exhale, come to apnea. In apnea, try straighten your knees and look through your legs. Keep elbows slightly bent. Stay here for inhale. As you exhale, bend the knees again. Stay for inhale. Exhale, come down to all fours. Inhale, open ribs. As you exhale, put a little more weight into your hands and really puff up the chest into the shoulder blades. One more breath here. On exhale, come to apnea and really press down into the floor. Keep elbows bent. This is great for the obliques. As we exhale, lengthen through the crown and come back to apnea. In this apnea, we are going to round the neck, then the upper back, then the lower back, all at the same time. Stay for inhale. On exhale, come back to neutral spine. Inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to cross our feet and come back to a seated cross leg. We're going to place our hands on top of your knees, fingertips pointing in. On inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhale, expand your ribs. Exhale, come to apnea. In apnea, gently pull on the knees to help you stay lengthened in the spine and open the ribs. We're going to stay here for your inhale. And on this exhale, we're going to bring our hands to the mid-thigh area with our fingertips pointing in. Another breath here. Press your hands down into your thighs to lengthen your spine and come to apnea again. In apnea, press hands into thighs to maintain the rib cage. Stay for one inhale. On the exhale, one more breath. Inhale, exhale, come to apnea again. In apnea, first press the hands into the thighs. Then you're going to gently lift the hands all the way up over your head. Maintain that length in the waist. Stay for your inhale. And then as you exhale, bring hands back down. Inhale here with hands on your thighs. As we exhale, you're going to switch your feet, hands back on your knees. As we exhale, we're going to come to apnea. First apnea, hands are in front of you on your knees, hands gently pulling on the knees to maintain that length. On this exhale, slide hands to mid-thighs and then press down. We're going to inhale, exhale, and then come to apnea. In apnea, we're going to press down on the thighs. Stay here for inhale. As we exhale, gently press down on the thighs again. One more breath. Exhale, press hands on thighs and come to apnea. Here we're going to raise our hands up over our head. We're going to inhale, stay here. Exhale, return hands to the thighs. We're going to inhale here and really open up out those ribs. We're going to exhale, lengthen the spine. And on your next breath, we're going to transition onto your back. Nice and slow, one elbow at a time to the floor with a nice neutral spine. Here we're going to lay with your hands at your sides. I'm going to get you to inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to hook those feet and pull the heels towards your bottom as we grow through the top of the crown. One more breath here and come to apnea. Exhale, pull heels towards the bottom. In apnea, you're going to seamlessly open up the rib cage and grow through the crown of your head. Stay here. And on your next breath, as you inhale, we're going to bring your hands up over your head into a Y position. As you exhale, keep hips down, pull heels to your bottom and grow through the crown of your head. And now we're going to come into apnea. In apnea, we're going to lift the hips up into a bridge position. We're going to stay in the bridge for your inhale, and as you exhale, we're very slowly going to lower your hips and pull those heels towards your bum as you grow through the crown of your head. Inhale here. Exhale, bring hands back down to your sides. Let's do this one more time. We're going to inhale, raise arms up into the Y position. Exhale, lift hips up. Pull heels towards the bottom and come to apnea. In apnea, we're going to lower the hips and grow through the crown of your head. And then return hands down to the sides on your exhale. One more time. We're going to inhale, open ribs. Exhale to apnea. Hands at the side. We're going to hold this one for as long as you can. Pull your heels towards the bottom, growing through the crown of your head. Expand the rib cage. Huge spinal decompression here. Inhale. Exhale. And well done.